I am so excited about the budget that's coming out from the House. Actually, we're going to have some great budgets coming out in general, also the capital budget, but, really focusing on the operating budget. Bill, I'm anxious to hear from you too. I think it's done a great job of really balancing all the things that we need to do around equity, around economic recovery, around the COVID response, and making sure that each of our families has an opportunity to thrive and recover.
It's been great working with you and all the other folks in the legislature to really show that this budget, what matters is where you spend your money is where you put your values. And we're really trying to reach out to those folks who haven't benefited so much in the past due to other budget priorities or have suffered due to COVID. And so some of the things they're doing are really great. Just one thing comes right to mind is we need to get people back to work. And what's the most important thing to get folks back to work, particularly single moms and people like that, is childcare. So we really put in a lot of money towards childcare because that's going to get our economy back going. It's going to get people back to work. And that's one of the great places that we can really help our economy recover as well as our families recover.
And I also think the other areas of the budget that are really great, right? We had so many businesses that were struggling during the pandemic, and we have brought federal dollars and dollars to bring to our businesses that had to close to keep other people safe. We're bringing an enormous amount of investment to try to bring down the unemployment insurance rate for our businesses. In some cases, some business licenses have been extended and licensing fees. So we've done a lot of work trying to figure out ways to make sure that we can help our businesses recover as well. I think there's over like $1.4 billion specifically on COVID recovery and response in healthcare, including getting more nurses into our schools.
And the other piece that really I care about is those folks have probably had the hardest time through this COVID because of losing their job or because they're on the borderline economically as well. So one of the pieces of the working families tax exemption, that this is the first year we're planning on trying to fund that. So that those folks that are working minimum wage jobs get a sales tax rebate for all the sales tax that they pay, which is disproportionate to their budget than it is to most of the rest of us. So that working families tax exemption really helps balance that on folks that can use that extra little rebate. And you know what? That money is going to go right back into the economy because they need every bit of it. And that, again, is going to keep stirring that economy even more so. So that money just keeps circling through over and over again when we do things like that.
With regards to that money back in your pocket work and really turning that right back into the economy, there's a lot in this budget that goes directly to emergency cash assistance and basic needs supports, making sure that our food banks are going strong, making sure that we've got great amount of housing and supportive housing dollars that are rolling through here to make sure we've got mortgage payment assistance in here. We've got rental assistance in here that supports both our tenants and our landlords. So this is all the basic foundational needs that have come up, in particular with our pandemic, that are supported.
The other piece that often gets forgotten is our immigrants that are in our society. They're providing so much work and strength and structure to our economy, but they historically have not been eligible for some of these assistance programs. So we definitely have set aside to help those immigrants through that piece of economic stress that they've gone through. They've been hit very hard. And to get them back on their feet, because they add so much to our society in all the work they do and the services they provide, particularly in long-term health care. And those jobs are just really important, and that's a critical piece as well.
One of the last few things I want to make sure we talk about, Bill, on this is the behavioral health response and what we're doing for our schools. Our K-12 system, our community colleges and our higher ed programs, all trying to be supported to make sure that we can create recovery for our students and for our staff and what's learning there. There's legislation that's covered in this bill to get our state ready to take on the 988 line, which is all about the behavioral health responses. That takes a huge amount of back-end work to make sure that the actual support services are there when somebody calls that line. And there's a major investment happening in the state, including increasing the mobile crisis units for kids that are calling in and trying to reduce our suicide rates that we're seeing and the significant impact of behavioral health that we're seeing for our youth and children, but certainly across the spectrum. Because as we know, everybody has been impacted by the pandemic in ways that are unique to them and just range in the scale. So I'm proud of what this budget's doing. I'm proud that the House Democrats are stepping up to really bring this bill forward. But I think in particular for the constituents here in the 5th, I think it's going to bring forward what we need to have a solid recovery everywhere from our families to our local governments, to our schools, to our businesses. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do this work and making sure that as the budgets get negotiated between chambers, that we keep that truth for the 5th and for all the constituents across Washington state.
I'd also like to mention the piece that we're reaching out to in social justice and systemic racism that a lot of our bills are taking on. We're really trying to bring some parity in here, some equity in all the work we do. And it really shows in so many corners of our budget. It's just mixed in. So you don't see it jumping out at you, but it's just mixed in. And I'm really proud of the work we've been able to do that helps the 5th and our state. And I'm just hearing like breaking news that the governor is going to open up the COVID vaccine shots on April 15th to everybody over age 16. I know it's going to take a little while for everybody to get a shot. I'm still trying to get my shot. So hopefully I'll get in that group myself someday here soon. So thank you all for all the support, and reach out anytime. Watch what's happening as we go through our last few weeks. And I hope we're going to really pass something when we get to the end that's really great for our district and the state as a whole.